So before my computer rudely cut out, we were talking about basically how there was the show just isn't self-aware enough to draw the connection between the fact that this guy is through the use of interest capital is embezzling money from the people, and the fact that the people have no money to pay their police force.
Right. And it's like, it's funny. I actually, looking at it, I mean, they actually give us these two numbers that are great, because when he's in the scene with Yam Remanuel, it's specifically it's
Bizarro
an
Rob
89 million.
Rules, by the way. What a cast! What a casting decision!
It's literally like these two. I honestly wonder if it was intentional. These two competing like Jewish stereotypes, and it is like really unsettling.
Like elder of Zion and
you got the elder
junior and junior and elder of Zion and junior of Zion.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Zion Senior and Zion Junior like going to war.
So you they have an $89 million unfunded mandate. That's why this city is struggling in kind of the universe of the show.
Right.
And early on in that show, they have specifically, it's like, 45 million from this, 65 million from this. And like, just in that one shitty fucking deal that he makes at the beginning of the show, it's enough money to cover the entire deficit of the entire fucking city.
Yeah.
And there's never, ever a connection drawn between those two facts.
Yeah,
even though they give you the numbers. It's almost like they want you to make that connection, but they refuse to acknowledge it themselves.
Yeah, in universe, it's just they're completely unself-aware.
No, yeah.
Any of the relations between power and...
So I mean, that's pretty much all that goes on in the scene with the city council, is just he basically grabs them by the nuts because of all his power and influence. And so it's like, yes, you have to. It's not just, yes, I can impose myself on this city by taking over a piece of like the force of the state, but you have to allow it, because the same money that allows me to take it over also allows me to destroy any public official who refuses my fucking insane whims to be the Immortan Joe of Chirac.
Yeah, I think that deserves a lot more. I mean, I can spend like the rest of the time talking about
this scene is fucking insane.
The premise is just absurd. That this guy, this billionaire, could just walk into the city council meeting but this is in public with camera. There are video cameras there. The news is there, and he publicly blackmails the mayor or whoever this guy is into giving him his own personal fiefdom.
Yeah,
like this is all handled without a shred of self-awareness. It's not tongue-in-cheek. There's no commentary. I mean, they kind of hand wave some commentary.
But that's the worst fucking part about it, because the commentary that they have, the little media bullshit that they pull, is in that next scene, which is like the capstone of all of this, and it's all about the image, not about the image of did like Peter Thiel just like take over fucking Chicago? It's, this is just a ploy for attention. This is just, it literally is the kind of thing that like, this is what goes through Donald Trump's head when he's like, should I destroy all of North Korea and bomb the shit? Should I bomb the shit out of 25 million people and kill them all? Well, I don't know. Do you think Morning Joe will chide me? Like, that's what's going through his fucking head, and that is the same kind of mentality that the show, when they were tossing around these ideas, they're like, okay, so there's going to be some resistance. What would people say?
Angle?
What's the angle that they would use to fight him? And it's just, this is just empty showmanship when he's taking over the fucking city.
Right, like through open blackmail. Through open blackmail.
Yeah.
Like, he's not hiding it. There wasn't like, maybe, like, I could kind of swallow the scene if the blackmail part happened like behind closed doors, or like he does it in open view of everyone on camera.
And that's why this show feels like a fever dream, because it's so fucking insane that you can't tell if it's this unreality or this hyper reality, where it's like
Eshek 21 fugue state.
It's like how when you first see like Idiocracy, and it's like, fuck this is so stupid and reductive, and the world doesn't work that way. And then,
this show,
like Then the next like 10 years of your life is just the world being like, no, actually, this is what's happening. Yes, it's fucking Carnival Barker is going to be your president. I'm sorry, like we are going to water the plants with Brondo. This show is like, at first we see it and we're like, this is fucking insane. No one would ever accept some fucking bloodless billionaire just taking over a portion of the like a major American city. But this is gonna fucking happen in the next 10 years. It has to. I mean, no, and the thing that I think we should probably talk about is that some version of this actually has happened. This is based on a true story in New Orleans. There is like a little portion of New Orleans that is like, you know, they have some sort of app and they have these little rent-a-cops that are going around. You know,
Naomi Klein just talked about this in the Schlock Doctrine, in her book about shock doctrine, where this is a result of Katrina. Like, because Katrina happened, everyone was just so overwhelmed by the fact that, you know, they're dying and their city is
infrastructure
destroyed.
Was totally collapsed.
Right, so they used it as an excuse to be like, hey, why don't we just privatize a whole part of the city? Like, this was just to see,
and you know what? The same thing happened in reality. That they allied in the show that is so fucking infuriating, which is that fucking this asshole comes in and they pump all of this money, and it's like with all the money and all the investment, you have these kind of immediate little metrics that you can say. You can say, oh look, the police response time increased. You have like these things because of all the investment that is like, look, the system works. When what you are ignoring is the fact that the system is working now that you have this stolen capital being pumped back into what it's been robbed from. Right. It's like, if
putting it back
we
where it
had
belonged.
sold the lower Ninth Ward to fucking Bill Gates earlier,
then everything would have been like, we would have had sandbags by the shore.
Yeah, exactly. The levees wouldn't have broke. The levees would have been fucking. Yeah. It's
not because the Army Corps of Engineers was underfunded and they had all their proposals for hurricane prevention rejected. It's because we didn't sell the city to Bill Gates sooner.
Mm-hmm, yeah, but no, stop and imagine if fucking, I don't know, Michael Jordan owned the levees in 2002.
I think it's important to note. Like, I think that this show, I haven't done too much research into like the backstory of the show. I think there's almost no way that it was not funded by the Koch brothers or Doctor Doom or someone in that vein, because the
actual New Orleans.
No, I'm talking about the show. The show. I'm saying there's no way.
I want to know where the money comes from.
Because there's no way that this show was not funded by somebody. Because
yes, possibly, but.
Because when you look at the way that the show focuses on why, because you have to like pretend that the show is being kind of even-handed with this like billionaire taking over the city. Yeah. And so when you get to the criticisms of why this is bad, it all comes back to optics. There's no self-awareness about the relationship between capital and power, or why this should even be allowed in the first. There's no problem. The show doesn't express a problem with why the fuck is this guy allowed to do this in the first place. The problem is they think he's doing it because he's bored.
Yeah, no, and the thing that pissed me off, I think, the most about the episode was when you have, have the wise Latina who's like supposed to be the voice of reason. She's literally, they're sitting in the writer's room. They're like, someone has to raise, because this is going to piss a bunch of people off, so we have to have someone in the show raise the ethical questions.
Right.
Where they get beyond the optics. Right, but they think that this is going to be the one that gets past the optics and gets into the actual ethics of the situation. And the question she asks is, oh, so you're doing this because your friend died. We had,
where's our billion? That was the line.
Where are their billionaires?
Where are their billionaires?
When the actual question is, why are there billionaires?
Holy shit! That line is like the line of the year 2016.
Yeah, that is
their billionaires?
Their best shot at like kind of like getting ahead of the criticism and being like, oh look, we're asking tough questions. It's like, where are their billionaires? Just missing the point entirely.
Insane.
And then he instead of actually addressing even the question of where like why here, why this, the kind of lesser moral questions, he just convinces her to shoot a civilian, and then they're best friends. That is literally what squares the fucking circle and convinces her that he belongs. Is he?
It's like whispering. He's like, shoot
no. That is the fucking cherry on top of the shit sandwich.
So much. So, we're gonna get to that later, but I'm surprised. Yeah. I'm surprised that you said that was the thing you hated most about the show, because we haven't even gotten to the app yet.
Oh God, no! I don't know. No. Okay,
it fucking rules so much.
So after this scene, they go into just bringing out all of this new equipment, and they have their little like brown shirt vests with these creepy little armbands, and that are like the
red, white, and blue
Kevlar vests. What's that?
Red, white, and blue.
Yeah, exactly. And so they give them their armor, their like body armor, and then they do one of the more and it's just obvious that they were going to do this, and it's part of the stupid fucking fantasy of the show, but it's just another example of the show just like refusing to engage with like just the most basic realities of like force and power and violence. They give them these fucking zappy guns that they're magical zappy guns. They shoot as well as bullets. They tase people, and they never hurt them. And
yeah, right. Or never hurt anyone.
Even though I mean fucking tasers, I mean there's so many examples of just these insane fucking cops tasing the shit out of these poor fat motherfuckers, and their hearts stop because surprise, you can't just fucking electrocute people.
And he shoots two people in the demonstration too.
Yeah, he just immediately pulls the gun out and just fucking lays out two cops.
Yeah, he's to give context, all this equipment is like brought in, and then he gives like this presentation to like an ethnically, like demographically.
Every single scene where he's giving a speech, there is a full 2 seconds where they cut to like a black guy who's like nodding, like I'm being convinced by this. Every single scene, they do it in the opening Tony Stark scene. They do it in the city council scene. They do it in the equipment scene. Every single one. They show like a random black dude with no lines being like,
like his wise Solomonic figure.
Exactly.
And well, okay, to be fair, the one in the equipment scene does have lines because he's like an authority figure. He's like a chief-ish. I don't know what is it.
Oh no, I wasn't even talking about the chief. I was talking. There's like another random guy that they cut
also
to.
nodding.
So he brings all the equipment in. And while he's showing off the equipment, I guess he just shoots one cop who has a knife, then he shoots another cop who has a gun.
He like pulls out this fucking taser gun that's better than a real gun. And there's a guy right next to him who's like, I'm being intimidating, and just fucking zaps him. Even though if you shoot somebody with a taser from that range, there's a decent chance that you'll just fucking kill them.
Mm-hmm. No, these are super tasers. They're super tasers. They don't kill anyone. They're perfect.
My bad.
So after that, they're just kind of. I think after that they get into the actual.
They're like warily convinced.
The app.
So
if you don't know the premise of this show, like if you have not really looked into it,
buckle up.
The entire like fucking capital takeover of this police district is predicated on a motherfucking app.
The APP
it is an app that you install. I guess it's probably for iOS and Android. Windows Phone is not supported.
Not Windows Phone.
You install it on your fucking phone.
Could you imagine Bill Gates' his own city and he has his own app that only works on Windows? It only works on Windows Phone.
It fails completely because it's only for exactly.
In the Ninth Ward, you can only call APP if you have a Windows Phone. There's no 911 anymore.
Yeah.
You have to buy a Windows Phone to call the police.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god. So
it's all predicated on the fact that there's no 911 anymore. You have an app.
You have an app, and so you install the app, and you can send messages to the police force. And I guess because there's more of them, or they're not depending. I guess the idea is that. Yeah. Oh no. We'll get to that. But it's like their idea is that what is keeping the response time for the police in this area so shitty is that you have to go through. It's literally almost the biggest problem in the universe with the police are the like 911 operators.
Right.
They are the biggest failure because
the bottleneck at least.
Yeah, they're the bottleneck. They're the reason. So there's this idea that like now when you see a crime, you're gonna pull out your iPhone, open up an app, and like text what's going on to the cops, and immediately they have like one scene where a kid
the boy who cried wolf.
Yeah, the boy who cried wolf.
Texted, hey baby,
yeah,
what are you?
Hey, there's a guy. Yeah, no. No, he's like, there's a guy with a knife here, and then there's not. He just wanted to see if the cops would show up. And like,
which is kind of under. I mean, the white cop gets really bad, but like this whole like the whole premise of the show is
no fucking black child in Chicago would do ever. I just want to see if the cops will show up.
Well,
like,
it's
what
more than
the fuck?
That's not even where I'm going with this. It's more than that to me. It's like, I think this kid is the only one with his head on straight in this entire show, because he's the only one who's like, the premise of all this is so fucking stupid. There's no way this is real. Like, there's no way that I have to get on a goddamn app to call the police. I'm gonna try it and see if it works. I identify more with this like 12-year-old black kid than I do with anyone else in the show, because he's like as skeptical about the reality of all this as we are.
Yeah, and plus he had an abusive father, which I think both of us. The fucking thing about the app is if you have ever done anything, if you've ever done anything with like an app like this, that like you put it out on billboards to the public, which is explicitly how they market it.
Yes.
And you tell them download the app and use it. If you've ever done anything with an app like this, with a short code, with a social media campaign, like you understand that 95% of the traffic you get is absolute fucking bullshit.
Garbage.
It is literally
garbage traffic.
D's nuts. Like it's trash.
And not just the words D's nuts, because the APB app.
Oh no, it is. There are some fucking hairy ass balls that you see.
You can also send pictures on the APB app.
The APB app is like you send pictures of crimes in progress, and that helps them capture the fucking criminals.
And it shows up like in the dashboard of their squad car, like the pictures. And there's no authorization for it. You don't have to there's no thumbnails. So in an ideal world, all these fucking loser cops are getting like barraged with pictures of people's nuts and like hairy assholes, and they have no way to control it because the fucking app is so badly designed.
Yeah, it's fucking awful. And so, every time they show the app in action, it's like, show me all of the notifications we've received in the last hour, and it's like
a giant like
across it's like 30 or 40 across this entire precinct, and every single one is like, help, there is someone there. And it's just like,
there's a guy here.
There's a person here, and then they go, and because this is their conception of crime, it's like a guy in a fucking balaclava with an assault rifle.
NPC spawns at that location.
Yeah, and every time they go somewhere, there is this fucking parkour chase with this guy with a gun.
Oh, the first chase with the app with the sassy Latina lady fucking ruled.
Oh my god!
Can we talk about that? Can we talk about that?
Incredible. So, this guy is what is he even doing? Like when he's
I think it's a gunshot.
Oh yeah, gunshots. No, someone saw him with a knife. Oh, that's literally what it is. Someone sees him with a knife.
Didn't do anything with it.
They take a picture of him, and the picture is just him running away from the camera. He's just running, and so they get that. Running.
He's walking away from the camera.
So they get that, and they're going after him, and as soon as I guess they show up, he starts running from them. So she flies around, intercepts
drives
him,
her car at him,
runs him over with her fucking car, and then beats the fuck out of him with Krav Maga and drops his ass on the car.
Well, I want to get a little bit more introspective with this scene, because I think it deserves even more examination than what you.
No, it's fucking awesome.
It's basically okay, so there's a picture taken as help man with knife. The text from this fucking app does not say that he did anything with the knife. It doesn't say that the knife is an illegal size or that he's done anything illegal with it. It just says help man with knife. And has this picture of a guy. He's not menacing anyone. He just has a knife in his hand, and he's walking away from the camera. That's all he's doing. There's no probable cause to think that he's done anything wrong. He hasn't hurt anyone. There's no indication that the knife is somehow illegal, or that it's even it could be a butcher knife. We don't really know. And so she drives at this cop gets that notification, drives at him with the car, And understandably, this guy runs away because this woman's trying to run him over with a fucking squad car. And so
she fucking runs him over.
And so she does, at the end of the scene, the chase, she runs him over with the car. And again, to recap, this man has done nothing wrong. All he's done is run from a psychotic cop who's been trying to run him down with their squad car. And just beats the shit out of this guy for no reason. Like, this guy has done absolutely nothing wrong, even within the context of the.
And so on the list of things that the show doesn't understand, this is their biggest misunderstanding about, like, just the purpose and the effect of policing. This show is, the idea that this show has is that when the police go out into a community or a place or whatever, the interactions that the police have are like positive things. If they have an interaction with a, quote unquote, a criminal, they take the criminal away, and it's like a net gain for the city. If they have an interaction with some precocious young kid, it's like it's okay, it's a net gain.
There's nothing but
reality. There's nothing but net gain. The only problem with the police is that they're not policing enough. It's not a problem with the way they're policing. It's that they're not doing enough of it. If you could just force multiply, it would be fucking perfect.
In an ideal world, there would be ride sharing for cops, and everyone would be a cop.
Exactly. You would just, like, every time you went outside, you would have a fucking interaction with the cop, and it would be great. That would be a fucking utopia. Every time the police do something in this show, it is good. A net positive.
Objectively good. It is not just good, it's objectively good.
In reality, it is like just this roiling fucking incitement whenever these people go out into these communities. And
especially in areas like especially in areas.
And so, I don't know if I mentioned this in this recording or just when we were watching the show, but it's like this whole idea of, like, more policing, more police interactions. When, you see people like, I think it was Philando Castile. I think he was pulled over by the police something like 30 times. 34?
34.
Before he was finally shot to death. And it's like, if you think that those police interactions were improving his quality of life, or like improving even the area around him, I got fucking news for you. It was not.
It's just an extension of state power over the lives of marginalized
people. And every time you have these interactions, it decreases the level of trust that you have in the community. It decreases the relationship that these people have with what is ostensibly supposed to be their, like, representatives. And
go back to that.
This show doesn't even understand that is a concept. It's just, man, if only we had more cops beating up more criminals.
And go back to the scene with the kid. I'm amazed that, like, that scene would not work that way in real life. If the first time this kid used the app, this like dude who looks like he's a member of the Aryan Brotherhood,
would have taken a mag light to the head so fucking quick.
Yeah, if that dude who looks like he's a member of the Aryan Brotherhood, like, if that dude had shown up and just, like, told that kid, like, if you call me again, I'll fucking kill you, which is basically what he did. Why would he have texted them back again to call for the actual incident? He would just.
Why would anyone in Chicago use this stupid fucking app in the first place? No, here is my question. Do you think that, like, part of what like Peter Thiel taking over the police, like, precinct, do you think they had to get the Macklemore haircut, or was that, like, a prior thing?
Oh, fucking mandatory.
Because every single white dude in this show has the Macklemore.
All hashtag white males must get Macklemore haircut. That was like the dick tot from the from the top.
He just comes in. See, that's why one of the, like, creepy little, because it's like, I like it when you shave the side.
That's why there was this, like, revolt, and, like, halfway through the first episode.
Yeah.
Like, we got
that fucking thing.
Yeah, because we got two. You remember the note? No, but there's two. I got 2 rules in this police force. If you're a white male, you got to have a Macklemore haircut, and you got to use a pussy gun.
No, so the original thing that gets the cops kind of to revolt against him is, well, one of them gets shot, but he's okay. He doesn't actually get, like, he doesn't die or anything.
But it's, like, explicitly, but they have to give themselves cover, and it's explicitly because he's a fucking idiot, because, like, sassy Latina cop tells him, don't go up there, you goddamn moron. And he does, and he gets shot.
Idiot.
So the only so they had to make the cops and this is one of the few scenes where I'll be on the side of the cops, because like basically they're trying to position the cops in this particular scenario as being like working class double digit IQ morons who don't understand like cause and effect. Like they know that this guy only got shot because like sassy Latina lady told him not to and he did it anyway, like a fucking idiot. But in spite of that, they still use this as an excuse to like have stage this like inside revolt. Because they're all goddamn morons, and only the rich can save us with their free market solution.
I love that fucking note. I love it's like, police need real guns.
Police need
like
real
guns. That is not what, like, if you don't have an uncle that's posted that on Facebook, then man, you ain't living.
It's just like a pile, like all these cops, like the scene we're talking about is like the basically the police in the 13th precinct stage like a mini revolt, like they request transfers and they turn in all their pussy guns. And in this pile of tasers, there's a fucking handwritten note, and it just says "Police need real guns."
That has gotta be a bumper sticker. That's gotta be a bumper sticker.
Oh, gee, dude, that's like I remember the first time I saw that. It was like several months ago when I first watched the first episode. I had to pause because I was laughing so hard.
Oh my god!
because you can read it before it comes into focus, and I didn't think it was gonna come into focus, and then it did, and I started laughing even harder. Just police need real guns. Fuck you.
And that's why it's
84% of British police say that they're happy not carrying a gun on their daily beat. 84%.
No, it's different because America.
Yes. I mean that is partially true, but it's because of the same problem that we have with the actual people in this country. Like it's because the police are a cross section of the people. That's why we have the same right. But
well, I mean, but again, like guns or no guns, it's like the relationship that the police have with the places that they are policing, where they're drawn from, who they're policing, how they're supposed to create relationships with the people that they're policing. It's all the shit that is like just the show has no fucking concept of and never could even get into.
Right, and no, they tried. It's interesting because they tried to, but they directly contradicted themselves when they did, because one of the first scenes during his presentation is that there's something like 285.1 cops or some shit per civilian, basically. And this is used as a reason why this guy needs to take over and give all of his weeds Jew money to like take over this police force. It's because there's not enough cops. But there's a scene later on in the episode where they're trying to find the guy who killed Black Friend and Refrigerator, and the sassy Latina cop takes him downstairs to the files. They're all dusted up, and she knows every single guy who owns a white car. She is intimately familiar with the personality of every single white male who owns a 90s white sedan. Without exception, she knows all. It's fucking unreal how unself-aware the show.
Yeah. So hold on, where are we? So they they get the app.
God.
Oh my god, the fucking app is so stupid. I mean,
it's just like it reminds me of the thing you posted on Twitter earlier today. It's like, frankly, my dear, I'm gone with the wind. because
the APB shows up right there. Oh no! And then of course there's the fucking Cadillac commercial, the native advertising in the middle of the fucking show, and it wasn't even what happens at the end of the episode. That she's like, hey, where's their billionaires? Why are you just allowed to buy this thing? And he's like, bitch, please look at this Cadillac. And she's like, oh my fucking god.
She's fucking wet. She fucking gets wet for these goddamn Cadillacs that this rich asshole buys her police.
And it's so blatant. It's like, I mean, it has the camera angles of like a Cadillac ad. You know the specific look that they have, where they show the car coming down, and then they show it like pulling up, and like it like curves a little bit towards the screen, so you can see like the little logo. It's just like
all and the logo. It's like the most obvious product placement of all fucking time. It's unreal.
And then and that's the car that she uses to run this fucking guy down.
She runs a homeless guy with a butcher's knife over for no reason.
Cadillac.
No, and I swear to God, like we could, if like using "should I say or should I go" during like the opening scene was bad enough, but we could use Joe Strummer as like a renewable energy source if they would have also played Brand New Cadillac during that scene, because this show just shits on everything. Like every like punk, like the punk. That's what made me so angry about the shows, because it's like the exact antithesis of the punk left. And the first song is by The Clash, and it just made me so mad that I had to watch the rest. That's how angry. I was so angry that I had to watch the rest of the show.
So okay, so have we gotten into how this, like,
we don't have the drones?
Well, no, exactly. So this show can't just content itself with the fantasy that this guy runs the precinct like a feudal warlord. He also has
as a bureaucrat, but basically as also like a bureaucrat. There's one like version of the show where he's a feudal warlord, yeah, but he's like the bureaucratic kind who sits in his castle and orders people around. No. He has a Tony Stark drone. Personal drone uses to fly around the city, and he's bobbing and weaving in between these cops while they're chasing the bad guys. And when Nick says uses, he doesn't just mean like he gives it to a drone operator. He pilots it.
He's fucking piloting it like he's playing fucking video games in the middle of the goddamn police station.
Oh yeah, this is America.
30 people watching him.
This is America's Army 2, bitch.
Yeah, it's literally. It's like he is in the middle of all of these action scenes, and it's like as he's doing that, as he's like, first off, flying a drone in front of someone's face when they're trying to arrest someone.
Oh, do you remember the scene when the guy gets shot and Sassy Otinile looks at the drone camera?
Yeah, she's like, do something! And it's like, what?
This show fucking rules. Oh my God.
It is such a fucking fantasy. So it's like when you see him get the drone, you're like, this could not possibly get more insane. But after the guy gets shot, the next scene is him down in the workshop putting a fucking gun on the drone.
Yeah, because
the only thing that this show needs is not just him being like fucking cyber cop, it's him actually shooting people
through the window of a third-story building, and the fucking like single digit IQ thug. It's like, what are they gonna do? We're on the third floor. We're on the third floor. What's the cops gonna do? He just fucking tases this guy.
Yeah, it's also the magic zappy gun because once again.
Because the gun, and nothing bad ever happens. They're incapacitated for 5 to 10 minutes, and then they're completely fine, and nothing bad ever happens.
Yeah, it's totally fine. And so, but they, and again, like. They don't really touch on it, but you see him like looking into these people's houses and like looking into their rooms while they're changing and shit.
Yeah,
while he's like hunting for the criminals.
Yeah, like before he finds the correct apartment where the criminals are like beating the shit out of some lady.
Because if you look through apartments in Chicago, every third apartment is going to have a bunch of like literal balaclava terrorists,
right?
Like holding a woman down with a shotgun to her head.
Right, and but before he gets to that window, he's just like got this drone looking at people's houses. Like they're just cooking.
Yet another moment where having Peter Thiel there being like,
nah. So it's like the scene. It's like the fucking scene in South Park with the toilet security administration, where the dude's just rubbing his nipple. I mean, like this fucking weeds Jew is just like rubbing his nips, watching people cook. And then he eventually finds the guy and tases him. It's just like insane.
Yeah, he tases two guys.
Every premise of the show is insane.
Yeah, and so one of the guys escapes. He escapes from the apartment, and he runs to a house party. And this is the climax. This is when the show just fully, goes completely off the rails. Because, of course, you get into this standoff where the criminal grabs a random woman, puts a gun to her head, and you have...
we need to back up. We need to rewind a bit, because there's a scene that's even almost as good as that. Where there's this is to give context, it's like a house party. There's people outside, there's people inside. There's I can't tell.
Gas.
Yeah, I can't tell if it's like supposed to be like a barbecue or if it's like an oil drum fire. Like it's very vague.
It's what a dumb fucking asshole who
there's
LA thinks that a house.
Right, like a house party looks like.
Like a block party looks like.
Right, so there's this block party and there's people outside, but there's a shitload of just random civilians who are also inside. And so, being the geniuses that they are, the fucking privatized 13th district decides to take a tear gas grenade launcher.
They tear gas a random party just because there's probably a criminal.
There might be a criminal in there. They just gas 30 people for no and putting them all in danger, because the only reason this hostage situation arrives is because they gassed the guy out of the house.
Yeah, and so. They could have just used the app.
Why didn't all those people use the app? Holy shit.
Why didn't they use the app? They all had their smartphones.
Can you imagine
cool central casting assholes?
The lady is being held hostage. She puts her hand in her
Yeah,
pocket.
I literally thought I was like, when
being
I saw
held
her,
hostage. Sad
when I saw
emoji.
her being held hostage, I was really hoping that she would like grab her phone and be like, "Oh my god, he has a gun on me."
Well, no, but she can't do that because he's holding her like larynx, so she just pulls it out. Help! Sad emoji. Being held hostage. Gun to head.
Why doesn't the app have emojis?
Go.
Really.
It does. I'm assuming it does. They just didn't show it in the first episode. But if you keep watching, maybe we'll see him.
There's no eggplant emojis in this show.
Let's just stop watching episode 3 if there's no emojis. But like, but that's kind of how that scene like.
So so they gas a fucking party, sure, and this is
because they gas the party. Because they gas the party.
Because they gas the party. The criminal Stanley Tucci's love child
like retarded
takes a hostage. Yeah, takes a hostage and puts a gun to her head, and then sassy Latina has her zappy gun on him.
This is by far the most fucked up scene. Like, just in a very visceral, like, human. Like, the rest of it's fucked up because of like ideology and like just the bizarre fixation on optics the show has. This scene is fucked up in a very like surreal but
real
very human way. Yeah, in a very real way. Yeah.
The worst parts about the show up until this point are what is elided, what is glossed over, what is kind of implied but never really discussed.
And it's
all
ideology.
Of these things that are kind of exactly. It's like it's fucked up on the face of it, but it's also tertiary. What is really fucked up.
Right.
This is just fucking bonkers. She has the gun on this guy, and she's like, all right. He's like, put the gun down or I'll fucking blow her brains out. And she's like, okay, fine. And she like starts to take the gun off him, and he's like, smart. We're gonna leave.
The zappy gun, though.
The zappy gun, right? And then all of a sudden, he's there watching with his drone, and in this creepy little whispery voice, he's like, "You can shoot her.
Yeah, you can shoot the civilian.
You can shoot the civilian.
Shoot the bitch.
It won't hurt her.
Shoot that bitch.
Shoot her, zap her fucking cunt." And honest to fucking God,
she does it.
She lights the fucking woman up. She literally shoots the civilian with the gun.
And instead of blowing the cop's brains out the second it happened, Stanley Tucci's retarded.
You know what? That was realistic. Because if I was a criminal and I had a gun on someone and the cop just fucking lit my hostage up, I would honestly freeze. I would be like, what the fuck just happened? Right, so then she shoots him with a zapping gun.
And there's two problems with what happens next. The first problem is that, spoiler alert, electricity is conducted through people. And he was holding her with bare skin by the throat.
By the throat, with his gun on, with his hand on the gun held up to her head.
And he had
in
no
a world with fucking conduction, he would have pulled the trigger and splattered her fucking brains.
Yeah, like if this first, that's the first major thing is that the electricity would have gone through her to him. He would have started convulsing, and his finger would have pulled on the trigger. She'd be fucking dead. The second problem is that he is literally grabbing her like with like his forearm and his elbow, or like grabbing her by the throat and pulling her. If she's tased, she wouldn't be not grabbed anymore, but she just like slumps to the ground as opposed to being held limp.
Yeah, no, he just, like I said, he literally just lets her go because
he's like, what
just shoot my hostage?
Why am I not being
like I can almost buy that. And then she shoots him and then arrests him, and they make like a conspicuous shot of like the woman being helped up immediately. Because she's fine, it's fine. The electricity.
All these people at this block party who just got gassed are still standing there. They're still fucking. There's like 80 people still standing there after the fucking.
In order to catch a single criminal, they have gassed like 40 people and electrocuted one.
Yeah,
innocent random civilians.
But to be fair. I want to go back to this because we did forget about this. The episode's almost over. But there's a scene just before this where they talk about how they need to get criminals to use the app. It fucking rules.
Oh my god! Oh no! I can't believe we almost didn't talk about that. They literally are like, look, we're not going to get the intel we need unless criminals are using this app. And they go around and are like educating like these fucking drug dealers about how to use the APB app. And they do the exact same, like the black guy nod. They have like these like tattooed, like goateed like drug dealers. And they're like, yeah, okay, so I press this button and then it sends my information to Mark Zuckerberg, right? Like, okay.
and then I can make sure that Gideon
gets to
see my big black ball. This button, all right. Cool.
And one would assume that these criminals are actually using the app. That is just like.
But they present it without examination. Like he says, "Well, what if we get the criminals use the app?" And everyone just nods like that. Sounds
everyone's
like,
that's definitely gonna work. And I don't
think. Fuck is wrong with? And so, we did. There's one other scene we didn't talk about. We have to rewind
where he meets with the
guy by the fucking long quiet drive to the to the shore to meet Rahm Emanuel, like Bizarro Rahm, like to
meet the elder of Zion.
To meet Zion Senior.
And basically what he says is, you have to step down.
For context, this is just after the revolt where they're like, we can't use these dang old pussy guns, and they're all mad and transferring out. So and the mayor calls him.
The mayor calls him and says that he's going to use all the other cops in the city to take him out, basically.
Yeah, first of all, what? I haven't thought about this scene in a while, but what? That's what he said.
Because look, before I ever watched the show, I knew that they were going to have the government, the bureaucracy, the people who are actually supposed to be in charge of like the like civic like trust inevitably have to be it's not the criminals, it's not the drug dealer,
it's the government.
It's not the fucking conspicuously white guy who shot his friend. It is the government.
It's the government.
Because ultimately, like the 6 seasons in a movie of this show is him, disrupting the entire city of Chicago or the entire fucking United States, and we finally just have like ANCAP utopia.
Yeah, this basically is an ANCAP. Yeah, it's actually surprised. I thought they were all dead, but no, this is basically just a very this is beyond Cato Institute libertarianism. This is like legitimately an ANCAP show. And First of all, I'm kind of impressed by that. Second of all, I realized that kind of one of the fundamental premises of our criticism of the show is actually wrong, because one of the things that we had the biggest problem with is the fact that the show allows this billionaire asshole to buy his own precinct and rule it like his personal feudal kingdom. But apparently this is what happens already, because the mayor can just send all the other police forces to murder him. That's the implicit threat that he makes, is that he already controls the police forces of his own feudal kingdom. So really, you're just devolving power. It's not a giving power to a guy in lieu of giving it to the people. The people don't have it in the first.
This is the decline and fall of.
Right. So this is part of the subtle justification, is that the power to control their own policing isn't taken away from the people. They never had it in the first place. It's controlled by the elder of the Protocol of Zion, and they never had a hand in it in the first place. So this guy is a comparatively good guy to the person who was previously running it, not just in sort of an efficiency bland, boring tech asshole way, but in a moral way as well. And I didn't really think about that until just.
And I mean, yeah, and so. You just have this implicit kind of idea that people who are coming at solving a problem from the avenue of capital, of the free market, their motivations are inherently noble.
Good. They're good guys.
They're good guys. They're inspired by just a desire to solve problems.
Oh, justice. This is justice so many fucking times. I wanted to puke. I wanted to vomit every time he said, "I'm doing this. I'm doing justice."
He has these weird fucking Batman lines about justice. You think I'm not doing this for justice?
What about the people who don't have billionaires? What about their justice? That's a fucking literal dialogue sequence in this show.
It's awful. But anyone who's coming at the problem, anyone who is trying to solve any of these problems from the avenue of just even conceptual public service, they're inherently suspect. They are inevitably bad, and they are at best just an impediment, if not actively antagonistic. That is just this show's reason for existing.
Right, it's to make the people who are like, you know what, we're gonna take control away from the government and give it to not to the people, but to this random asshole, and he's gonna fix everything. That's the fun. And I know it's very basic, and like you could get that from just watching the trailer, but it's really extraordinary when you watch the show.
Every part of the show lends itself to that.
Every facet of the show emphasizes that only like Elon Musk can save us now.
Yeah,
it's. And just I'm thinking about how like people are like, Mark Zuckerberg's gonna run for president in 2020. I'm like, holy shit, the show laid the groundwork, and it kind of did. Except no one cared about it.
Yeah.
If people would care, the show had gotten God, I wish the show had gotten a second season. I haven't seen past episode 1, but I fucking will, because this.
We're gonna watch the rest.
Yeah, we're gonna watch the show.
I'm sure that this thing circles the drain because I mean you can't.
It wasn't canceled mid-season. God bless.
Oh God!
It limped its way to the end. But I want to get to, because we're actually approaching, like, we're over an hour at this point, which is pretty impressive considering it's a single episode of a television show. There's just so much fucking wrong with it.
But you were right when you said this is like this is the definition of like a lot going on.
There's so much going on here with this goddamn show. But there's the very end scene, like, okay, the first thing that I thought of, and I'm gonna go back to like the very first time I watched the show, because this was Nick's first watch. But I've watched this episode like 3 times. And the first time I watched it was about like 6-7 months ago. And I remember the first thing that I really started thinking about the show in terms of something I could do analysis on was it brought me back to that meme in like 2009, 2010 about the video game that no one cares about, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. And it was this big meme where the creators of the game didn't realize that they had made the protagonist the antagonist.
Where Marsh is a fucking asshole.
Yeah, because Marsh is a fucking like for those of you who don't give a shit about video games, basically they're brought to a fantasy world, but it's not really a fantasy world because you find out that it's actually just as real as the world that they left. And literally everyone, except for you, the protagonist, is better off in this world. Everyone is happy.
They're fulfilled. They have like this. Great
Everything is great. It's not fake. It's not like a dream world. It is a different but also real world. And to go back to reality, whoop! There goes gravity. He has to cripple. He has to cripple his own little brother again. The first time you see his little brother, he's in a fucking wheelchair, and he's the king. In this new world, he's the king and he has legs that work. So, like, he just completely shits up everyone's life. But you're the player character. He's the protagonist. And that was what I thought of when I saw the show for the first time. It's like, holy shit, the people who made this show don't realize that this guy's the antagonist. Because he literally is.
And it's fucking incredible that they don't realize it. Because, like, so the climax of the episode is when he whispers in her ear to just zap the shit out of this poor. But the closing of the episode is when they realize that they can because they zapped this one guy, they've become so popular that now the entire city is using the APB app. And so the last shot of the episode is him standing in front of their big app screen, and there's just APB bulletins just popping up all over the city.
And they're all red bulletins.
And it's this red, they're all red. So then it cuts to his face, and it's like he's taking in like the power and the influence, and just it's like this new power, and he's kind of like got this little smile on his face, and it's just this red.
No, it's not, dude. Just to be real, Nick, it's not a little smile. This is like if you look up in the dictionary, smirking Jewishly. This is the fuck. This is it. Like he is just smirking as Jewishly as he possibly can.
No, it is this dark
rictus. Like, it's this fucking rictus.
It is this rictus, and so you have this glow on his face, and there's no, like, I thought they were gonna end the episode with them cutting to some sort of like they like a bookend. They start the episode with them talking about the industry. I thought they were going to do like a news brief about it. But no, the episode just
stops. It just stops.
His just horrifying red, just bathed face until it just cuts to black.
Off. It just cuts to black immediately. And you're just like, wait, what? Like this is the... I would love the shit out of the show if it was about 50% of what you saw in the show itself. Like, you cut out all the fat and all the dumb bullshit about his Black Friday refrigerator. And the other 50% of the show is this guy just screaming in public, "The fuck is wrong with you people? This guy's evil." And he's like fighting. If he was the actual antagonist, I would legitimately be interested in the premise of the show. And there was a real protagonist.
I would be really curious to see that.
Like if like it's like Barack Jr., community organizer in Chicago, is like the real protagonist, has to like tell people like, do you not understand? And you could keep all of the affect of the show, all the optics where this guy thinks that he's doing something good, and the media sucks his dick because they would in real life too. Because this is all that the optic shit is like depressingly realistic, but the other half of the show is just is like fuck it, bring in Sasha and Malia, bring him in, get him in the show. Bring Sasha and Malia, like literally Barack Jr., and have them be the stars of the show. Or like, no, do you not see this is just like insane?
No. Let me tell you exactly what this show needs.
Okay.
Barron Trump prequel.
Protect Barron at all costs.
Protect Barron at all costs.
Holy shit.
There's a glowing white pool that they submerge Barron into, and he's like, he's like 12th and West Street. There's going to be a shooting.
Yeah. No, even better. You know what? I can one up you on this one. Just do the exact same show, except the protagonist isn't Weeds Jew. It's just Barron Trump, like in the White House, and it's Washington D.C. and he's just like Galaxy Brain Barron fixing crime, and you have to deal with these like vignettes of like he has to deal with like it's like fucking Dexter's Lab. Where like he has to hide it from his parents, and like Donald,
his stupid father,
like his big dumb dick dad keeps trying to walk into his laboratory. And it's like,
oh my god!
and then it's
Dude, Tiffany Trump would make a really good DD.
No, instead of DD of Gorka, and he's like, Gorka, get out of my laboratory.
No, Gorka's Mandark. Gorka also has a giant lab.
Holy shit!
All right, we're not gonna top that.
No, that's not. We're gonna cut it off here. I honestly didn't. I thought in theory we could get an hour out of this, but I was surprised to see that we actually got. We almost hit 70 minutes. Oh gee, yeah. If there's a title, if this keeps going in perpetuity, and we need a title for this podcast, it will be a whole lot going on here. That is.
Yeah, I think we can settle up. We just do. I don't know, get a rap theme to open up the episode.
Yeah, we just get like a fucking get some grime.
Yeah, exactly.
Find some grime. All right. Until next
time.
All right,
man. Well, it's been good. Yeah, question mark. If our brains can survive watching it.
I feel like I've been fucking fried. I was through. I was like, maybe I'll drink a couple beers because I had to go to the store just to get some before we started. Because I was like, I know I need at least one. I needed at least one through the last time.
I've been drinking liquor this entire time.
Yeah, it's fucking. This show is demented, dude. All right, till next time, guys. Later.
Yeah, God bless. I feel